and then for money to come in, I don't know if that was the only determining factor. You know what I'm saying? Because I was dipping and dabbing, but
This is when you start getting into the
yeah,
drugs and
this
all
one,
that?
yeah,
Okay.
I used to,
How did you because you said you was just like weed and Hennessy. Like, how do you
yeah,
even.
well, you know what I'm saying? I was in the club scene, and when you bossing around, when you're a boss, you know what I'm saying? People want to be around people that are successful. And in that element, you know what I'm saying, a lot of, people are into the drug thing. So I would, sniffle, snort a little coke, did a lot of drinking, my weed, of course. And so, and I didn't have any women, no, nothing, nobody, stable. And so I would go, do whatever I had to do as far as my business. And if I go out of town, I come back in, I want a little woman or something, I hit hit them streets. You know what I'm saying? And they happen to be users.
Mm.
So this one particular broad, it's a nice looking broad, man. I'm high and I'm, out of there. She like, Daddy, you want me to go get something? We can smoke. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, go get something.
It's at the out and y'all just doing coke and all this at this point.
This is
This
this
is
is
before
after.
this. She's introducing you to
Yeah,
it though. Yeah,
well, actually, I got introduced to cocaine on my own
in
when
the
I
clubs and
called
all
my
that.
no, this 10 years before,
Hmm.
in like 84, 83, some shit like that. And I called myself trying to sell it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at how people would always be excited to see my little Cutlass Supreme come on the set. And and I'm like, God damn, what did they be getting out of this here?
Yeah.
I rocked up an 8 ball, and I remember going in the trap houses and watching them put it on steel pipes and glass pipes. And I had a neighbor that had an old car, and he had a little steel antenna on it, so I broke it off and put some of my mama's Brillo in it, and started putting some. I put my first piece on there, and I was like, wow,
Hmm.
this shit is good. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So make a long story short, I smoked up everything I had rocked. So
This was wait. This is in the
in the 80s,
80s.
80s, yeah, in the 80s,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
The 80s, like 83, 84, some shit like that, somewhere in that area. And so, and then on top of it, I had to make a choice of hurting somebody or being hurt, because I was giving my dope out to certain my boys, and they would come back with them dope fiend lies. I didn't know they were dope fiend lies at the time,
But
but
this
this is
was going on. Right.
what's
Right.
going
Right.
on.
Right.
And so then I was like, you know what, man, this shit ain't for me. So I left it all alone.
Cold turkey.
Right, right. It didn't take at that moment. You know what I'm saying? The addiction didn't take. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't until 10 years later, in the '90s, maybe '94, when I was back dibbing and dabbing with it. You know what I'm saying? And then they got full blown out about '97.
Hmm.
I
But you were
smoked up.
saying you out with this girl and she comes back with it
Yeah, and then we smoke, and
and this turns you up.
that kind of gets
Yeah.
me back on it. And then I met a young lady, and we ended up being married. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you got to be careful who you associate yourself with. So I had my company going, even though me and Screw severed ties. I still was selling my Screw tapes
Hmm.
because I had to connect. I was one to
So
talk
the addiction wasn't really affecting like life. You still moving.
at one point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it eventually caught up, and I lost $1 million business. I smoked it up. Sold this and sold that. You used to sell Screw tapes for $10. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't even negotiate with me because screws was that hot, and they were original grades. You know what I'm saying? So if I wanted 5 rocks, I give you 5 cassettes, and you give me 5 big rocks. You know what I'm saying? There was no I didn't even have to spend money.
Yeah. It's
You know what
understood.
I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And so, eventually I didn't even have that anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I turned into a full-blown addict. And I walked in the land of the dead for about 13 years
Man.
straight after that. I've been delivered now for 10. It'll be 11 March 3rd, around 6:30 p.m. You know what I'm saying? That I've been delivered from it. So
Man. So okay. So you say 97. That's kind of when this is like when addiction is kind of like full
yeah,
blown at
kind of
this point.
catch full
Yeah.
blown, and I'm depressed because now me and
With the screw
Screwed
thing.
with the
Yeah.
screw thing. You know what I'm saying? He doing big things,
But
and
y'all ever crossing paths still at this time, or
mhm.
y'all just literally just on
we
two separate
that
sides
was
of it?
it.
Yeah. But you don't know. I mean, this is Houston, though. It's a city. I
Yeah,
don't ever cross paths where y'all.
I may have seen Screw when I'm walking the streets at night, midnight. I saw him one time. He was flipping, and he had a little chicken head in his car, and it wasn't my cousin. You know what I'm saying? Because I had stopped talking to her too. Um, and I saw him over in Yellowstone and near Cushionberries. That was one of the last times that I saw him. And I saw him. He was at a house down from a house where I was living in at the time. He was down at a house. Come to find out, that's where he was buying his syrup from. And I saw him from I saw his Impala from the distance. You know what I'm saying? I didn't actually see him. You know what I'm saying? And maybe the last time I saw him alive was was me and my wife, which we were both addicts. She made a lick and wouldn't share with me. So I'm like, God damn, I need to go do something to go get me some drugs, right? And so then I'm walking the streets of Sunnyside,
Trying to figure it out.
trying to figure it out. And I hear something told me, say, go ask your boy Screw. He had a shop over there off of, what's that?
Cullen.
Cullen and Teton. So I'm on Teton and Cullen, and I'm right across the street. And he pulls up. And I'm like 99 pounds. I'm hoed out. I got on 2, 3 pair of pants so I could look like I got some weight on me. Hadn't matted. I'm probably stinking because hygiene wasn't a big thing for me. And so I see him pull up in this Impala. He get out. He's blowed up because that syrup had him blowed up. But he's blinging. You know what I'm saying?
Chain on jewelry,
Chain
everything looking
jewelry.
good.
He
Yeah.
looking good. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, I can go over there and ask him, man. I knew he was gonna get me. I know Screw. You know what I'm saying? He would have gave me probably something that would have killed me
More than
that
what you
night.
would have needed at that
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah,
What I
yeah,
would not have needed.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know if I'd have come to him, but I did not want him to see me like that. He had started talking to some people at some ballers that was on swingers in his part, and I showed didn't want them to see me. You know what I'm saying? So in mid stride, I turned back around, and that was the last time I saw Screw alive.
Man, so when do you how do you find out that he passed away?
I was working at O'Reilly warehouse.
So you still holding down a job even with this
Well,
addiction?
I would go into those moments where I would leave it alone so I could try to do something different. And this happened to be one of those situations where I had left it alone, got my system cleaned out, got a job at O'Reilly warehouse over there for Tavernar. And I'm up on the cherry picker, about 30, 40 feet in the air, get the piece for the line. And my boy Anthony, he comes to me and says, hey, man, hey, your boy dead. Your boy dead. I said, who? Screw. I said, what? He said, Screw. So I come down. He said, yeah, man, come on. And on the radio, I think it was Hawk that was doing the interview because I don't know if Fat Pat had passed at that point. And I believe it was Hawk. And he was talking to Mad Hatter in that morning, early morning when Mad Hatter had the morning show. And it was somber. It was, real somber.
No, it rained that day. I remember when DJ Screw
Yeah,
died.
it probably. Cause
Yeah.
I was in the warehouse, so I don't know if it was raining or not.
Yeah.
But I was in the warehouse, and I'm listening. Man, my heart just sank when I heard the words. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember what they were saying, but it confirmed that Screw had passed. So I had walked back to my cherry picker, went up top, man, and man, I just let it go as quietly as I could. You know what I'm saying? I just, had to hold it until I got to my cherry picking. I went back up, you know what I'm saying, and just let it go for a few minutes, you know what I'm saying. But I knew I had to cut it short because I was on time frame with, getting this order together. Yeah, so that's how I found out Screw had passed, and that's where I was at,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Donnie Houston.